JimStunek celebrated 50 years in broadcasting this year. It all started way back in 1969 when Jim took an internship at WIXY Radio, and that's where his long relationship with Larry the Duker Morrow began.
We've been together for a long time, Jim, and everything we touched turned to gold because of you.
In 1973, Jim moved over to 3WE Radio, where he became music director and later creative services director, along with being producer for Morrow's #1 morning drive radio show.
Jim would sit right here. I would be talking and I'd be on the phone with someone and Jim would write something and it would be a joke, it would be funny, and then I would take the credit for being a funny guy.
Jim also worked with Larry as arranger, producer, and studio musician on dozens of accounts. In fact, Jim was famous for the Come On Cavs song for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Come on, Cavs! Gotta make it happen.
During this time, he also began a 15-year stint as the jazz critic for Scene magazine.
Channel 43 plays.
In 1982, Jim began his television career, where he landed a job as an audio engineer for UAB Productions, the production company affiliated with WUAB-TV. Jim lent his audio expertise to numerous local and regional commercial productions, in addition to working freelance for sports productions. With the Indians, Browns, and Cavs, he did everything from hockey to college football for ESPN, CBS Sports, USA Network, and many others. At WUAB, he quickly advanced to commercial director, working closely with ad agencies on commercials, industrial videos, and infomercials.
I'd like to return the shirt. No way, right?
We'll be happy to make the return, sir.
Must be a trick.
About 70% of the commercials in Cleveland were done at the station. It was nonstop, 18 hours a day, 5 days a week. We had 2-inch tape, and I watched it evolve down to 1-inch, down to Beta. The cameras that originally cost as much as my first house are now like disposable.
Jim was then promoted to production manager, overseeing all aspects of WUAB promotional, commercial, and news production. Jim was in charge of UAB's long list of national direct response clientele. When Malright bought out WUAB in 1994, Jim was the only WUAB department head to keep his position and title, adding another TV station to his production team. He oversaw much of the physical merger of the stations as they moved from Shaker Heights and Parma to the all-new Reserve Square location in downtown Cleveland. After the stations were sold to Raycom Media, he became director of production and operations. In 2009, he became director of technology. Jim was in charge of basically every live event for 1943 over the years. Jim won an Emmy for technical achievements for Cleveland's bicentennial celebration broadcast with Disney. Jim really became the go-to person for everyone at Raycom Media from all levels, part-time to corporate. Jim was key in overseeing 1943's transition to HD, too, and the design and renovation of the new offices, the control rooms, and the studios. And it was Jim's vision and guidance that prepared the stations for their new platforms, enabling them to provide more and more OTT content. Jim helped design and build several new locations for self-contained independent streaming. He continued to oversee and innovate until January of this year, when after 37 years in TV, JimStunek retired from WOIO and WUAB.
I only got to work with Jim for 2 years, but in that time I've enjoyed getting to know him, pick his brain about the history of the stations, and have him translate for me what Bob Maupin is saying.
No! I've worked at a lot of TV stations in my life, and I'll go back maybe 30 years later, and when I left, I thought, hey, they're in trouble. They're in real deep trouble without me. Well, I go back 30 years later, the tower's still up, they're still selling ads, they're still making money. I learned something. I learned that I was easily replaceable. In my past 21 years here at channels 19 and 43, I learned something else. You're not replaceable.
You know, Jim is the best of the best, not only as a technical genius, but as a person as well. A man of integrity, a man you can count on day or night. He always goes above and beyond. And even though Jim is technically out of the building now, his footprint is forever etched in the landscape of Cleveland television history. JimStunek, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the legend, and now proud recipient of the Natus Silver Circle Award.
All right, everyone. Let's hear it for 2019 Natus Lower Great Lakes Chapter Silver Circle inductee, JimStunek.
Oh boy, that video felt longer than my career. So, when I took the job at UAB 37 years ago, if I knew I had to be up here now, I don't think I would have taken it. There's no prompter either, so bear with me on this. This award doesn't say as much about me as it does about the many people who helped me get here. First, I want to thank my wife, because when I was up here years ago getting an Emmy, I forgot to mention her. Not the biggest mistake I ever made, but one of the longest lasting. So thank you, Maria. I wouldn't have done half of what I did without you, so thank you. My daughter Caroline, thank you, and Greg and Nick. On those bad days, they were always my reminder of what was really important in life. And thank you to two people I suspect are responsible for the trauma I'm experiencing. That would be Joanne Larson, who it's been my pleasure to work with for over 40 years in both TV and radio. And where could I begin to thank you? And then my former general manager, Eric Schrader. Eric, one of my few regrets on retiring was not being able to work with you for a few more years. And that's possibly my only regret now that I think about it. So I need to acknowledge some other great people as well. Brooks Bektorski, Mickey Burns, Bill Applegate, Bill Scafidi, Dennis Thatcher, Jack Moffat. I'm sure they suspected I had no idea what I was doing, but they had faith in me, just as Larry Morrow did many times. So thank you to them. Thanks, Larry, for giving me my start and all those things we achieved together. I had no formal training in television either, other than watching it a lot. So when I started at UAB, the people there took the time to teach me the business. Everybody in production was a great resource, but in particular, I thank Rich Hers and John Atkins and Pat Murray and Bob Hammer and Bob Schmidt. They gave me the solid production background that carried me through all these years. And thanks to Jim Kapansky, who's been the engineer I relied on for my first day there up until my last. There were many more talented people I was lucky enough to work with in those years, but the music's going to start soon. So if we work together, you have my gratitude for contributing to my success. And last, thank you, Natus, for this honor, and congratulations to Ron and Lloyd also for receiving this award tonight. The Silver Circle marks the achievement of a successful career in broadcasting, but I think the main ingredient of someone's success is the rest of their team. So I couldn't have achieved any of that without the support and talent of these people and the rest of the station staff over the years. So in recognizing me, you're recognizing them. And so on behalf of everybody in news, technology, marketing, sales, G&A, traffic, and programming, thank you.
And congratulations, Jim, from all of us who have worked with you at one time or another over the past 37 years.